There could be no more deserving recipient of this gorgeous Hortense Ward Courageous Leader Award than our honoree, Michele Mays. Like Hortense, Michele has been a true trailblazer for women in the legal profession. Hortense, after becoming the very first woman to be admitted to practice law in the state of Texas, immediately began stirring things up, valiantly championing causes that were pretty dangerous and very unpopular for women at the time. Causes like women's suffrage, resisting the KKK in Texas, standing up for the property rights of married women. And Michele, like Hortense, also started shaking things up very early on in her legal career. And she did this with a very strategic purpose. Michele, in her own words, wanted to make an impact. She sought positions where she could make an impact for other women and people of color so that they could achieve their highest potential. In each of her corporate positions, which include general counsel positions at Pitney Bowes and the Allstate Corporation and now at the New York Public Library, Michele has consistently and courageously stood for diversity and equality. In each of these positions, it would have been much easier for Michele, who, as you will see, is beautiful, eloquent, charming, and brilliant. It would have been much easier for her to simply just tend to her own career and assure her continued meteoric rise at her corporations. Instead, what Michele did was at every turn to make it her business to stand for opportunity and diversity. And I'm talking about concrete steps. Steps like being one of the first general counsel in this country to establish metrics for outside law firms and holding them accountable to including and promoting women and people of color in their law firms. I'm talking about specific steps like establishing a flexible work schedule policy and looking at the compensation decisions of lawyers in her department to be sure that there was pay equity. Now, Michele is not just a courageous visionary, she's also tirelessly generous and energetic. She has mentored scores of successful women attorneys. She co-authored Courageous Counsel, Conversations with Women General Counsel in Fortune 500 companies. This has become the leading source of guidance and information for women general counsel and everyone who aspires to that position. She is the current chair of the ABA Commission on Women. I tell you, I could go on for hours about Michele, but let's just suffice it to say she's wonderful, and we are so honored that she's here to accept this award.
So good afternoon. I am delighted to be here, and I want to thank the Center for Women in Law, Linda Chanow, and in particular, Linda Brooks. I started to say as she was introducing me, I'd like to know myself after all of that. I also want to thank the leadership of this institution for giving the center such a fertile and welcoming environment. It is making a difference. And I will give a shout out to one of my mentees who traveled a fair distance to be here, Jocelyn Bramble. Thank you all. Hortense Sparks Ward died more than 70 years ago. Yet her story inspires those who remain to look inside themselves and ask, have I done enough? Armed with intellect and courage, she defied the odds in the early 1900s. And that bears repeating, the early 1900s. After 15 years of marriage, and she went to school at a Catholic convent, she and her first husband, with whom she had 3 daughters, divorced. She then went on after 4 years and passed the bar, and along the way picked up another husband. You've heard that she was the first woman admitted to the Texas bar, but what she did when she got that degree is she charted a course that wasn't easy, predictable, and nor was it convenient. She went down a road that I would venture to say was not paved with cement. I would argue it was a dirt road, narrow, with lots of gullies and bramble bushes on either side. But she chose this path, and we are lucky that she did, because by doing this, she defied the odds on behalf of women. You've heard from Linda, and it's in your program book, of the many things she did, including passing the Married Woman's Property Rights Act. She helped write articles that convinced the Texas legislature to let women enter into commercial contracts. She lobbied for women, married women, to keep their own earnings. And of course, she wrote something that caused 386 women, I don't know how they counted them all, 386 women to register to vote in a mere 17 days. It is possible some candidates now need to take a playbook from whatever she did. And then, when all the male members of the Texas Supreme Court had to recuse themselves in the case of Johnson v. Dorr, she was appointed Special Chief Justice with 2 other women to hear the case. They reached a decision. It's just unfortunate it was the first and last all-Texas female Supreme Court. And you've heard from Linda that she was a vocal opponent of the KKK. So what would Hortense Sparks Ward say today if she knew that still too few women are equity partners in law firms, that the Voting Rights Act of 1965 has been diluted, that women still make less, even though this is Equal Pay Week, still make less than their male counterparts, and this has a devastating effect on women as a whole. The average woman makes $430,000 less over a lifetime. Black women as a group make $877,000 less in a lifetime, and Latinas make less over $1 million in a lifetime. And yet, as we all know, women live longer. And finally, what would she say that no woman has been elected to the highest office in this land yet? She would say unequivocally, "You've not done enough." And so I accept this award not as recognition of what I've accomplished, but rather as a stark reminder of what one courageous woman did those many years ago, but also as a reminder of how much remains to be done. So I thank you for letting me bask in the aura of Hortense Sparks Ward, even if for a day, for she is a woman who ignited a movement. And I leave you with the words of Lorraine Hansberry, the playwright for A Raisin in the Sun, because I think they so embody the spirit of this indomitable woman. I care about it all. It takes too much energy not to care. The why of why we are here is the intrigue of adolescence. It is the how that must command the living, which is why, of lately, I've become an insurgent again. Thank you.